Thank you for coming. And I'm sorry if you looked at the library website calendar, I had the wrong time on there for a little while and I changed it. Now it's correct, but I sent out the email. So I hope that everyone saw that link. So thanks, Tom, for letting me know I had the wrong time. I've had a little bit of back problems from putting up Christmas lights. And so I was a little out of it for a day or so. Still not back to normal, but something small like that, twisting a muscle can really put you out of commission for a while. So let's see, I didn't plan too much today. I know Denise sent me a note that she has a few things to talk about. So we should cover those right away. You mentioned, Denise, that you got a Roots Web conference notice. And that are you planning on going in March?
I got it from FamilySearch that you could basically sign up for free for the conferences at the beginning of March. So I just signed up and I was just curious, to share that information in case anybody else didn't see it or somebody else had gotten that email.
Yeah, and it's free to join the conference, is that?
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I didn't see any cost associated with it yet.
If you do go to if anyone goes to any of the meetings, let us know what you learn. It's always interesting. And then the other thing you noted was matricula,
which is
the German records.
The German sites. And I'm just wondering if anybody's tried to search the German records in that matricula site. And if you have, what has been your experience and what's the good and the bad? So
I wasn't aware of it. Is it a paid site or?
No, not that I'm aware of. You could just, how did I find that out? I think somebody had recommended it to me, that you basically just go into it and then you'll see a bunch of records out there for the German sites. And you need to know where your ancestors lived, what parish they were involved with. A lot of church records are out there. A lot of it is in German. So, for me, it's difficult to explain. So I thought maybe somebody else had used that site.
Is this the site you're talking about?
Yes, that's the one. That is the one. And I know there's sections on FamilySearch that have got how to use this site. And you can see the book icon right there. That book icon basically gives you the information in terms of what is out there. So I usually just punch Deutschland up there for Germany.
And then these are the records that you can access?
Right.
Well, I'll have to look into that.
Yeah. FamilySearch does have information out there on how to use this site.
Okay. Yeah, I'm always looking for German records too, so this should be interesting. Well, thank you for bringing that to our attention. Have you found any? You said through the book icon is what you've been doing, right?
I have been. I have problems with my German ancestors trying to pinpoint where they came from. In several of my great relatives, German relatives, their obituaries read that they came from Kinburg, Germany, which I believe is a little hamlet close to Niederstoffen. So
whereabout is that?
It's by Lake Constance. You have to go south toward the Austrian border. See, you can see the lake. It's kind of right by number 40.
Oh, yes, right over in this area.
Right. So they would be in there somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
So I just thought perhaps somebody else might have used this.
Yeah, I have not, but I'm definitely going to look into it. We have Germans too. When did yours come over?
Mine came over about 1852, 53, and 54. Mm-hmm. Were my father's side, and then some other Germans also on my father's side were here in the 1830s, very early.
In Wisconsin or other parts of the country?
All in Washington County. I've got everybody in Washington County.
Wow. Yeah, I had, ours came over in the around 1842, two different branches.
Mhm.
So I've had trouble pinpointing any real records at their home. It's kind of weird how you find some records. For one of them, it turns out somebody online had records for the same family in the same small town, but not necessarily our ancestor, but the last name was the same. And it was found, he found it in some German Nazi records
Oh boy.
that were confiscated during the war. They had to apparently prove their heritage in many
Mhm.
cases. So our ancestor was not a Nazi, but some later relative or some sort of descendant had them in that name in their records. Who would have thought that, right? But it's amazing.
Can you hear me all right? Can you hear
Yes,
me?
Tom, we hear you.
Okay. If you wanted to be in the SS, you had to prove 5 generations back that you were not tainted. Okay. And so that's where those records come from. And they do exist. They do it, from what I understand, they do exist. I've never seen them, but they do exist. I've been told. So
yeah, I think they're in the
Denise,
National Archives.
Denise, I wanted to ask you a question. Your first comment at the beginning was about Roots Web or Roots Tech.
It could be Roots Tech.
Yeah, it's Roots. If you're talking about March 3rd and 5th,
Yes.
March 3rd and 5th, yeah, that's Roots Tech.
Okay,
Yeah.
good.
You can go to that website, which is rootstech.org, and you can sign up for free. And I went to the one, or not went, I Zoomed the one in last year, and my goodness, the sessions, there was over 100 or more sessions on everything, and they were all free, and they stayed, actually, if you registered, they were available. I think they still are available, for that matter. If you go to Roots Tech 2000, yeah, there it is. There's 2, and you just scroll down, and I think there's a place to
register.
There's updates, and I think, yeah, right, sign up for free right there.
Mm-hmm.
And the nice thing that they do on this is they will group them into different topics, okay? And then they have a bunch of several not professional speakers, but headline speakers. And then you can listen or not listen to those. Now, keynote speakers, I guess, I think that's still free, but hey, there's a lot of information there. And they, like I say, they keep them around. I think the one for 2021 is probably still out there, and you can go to it and look it up. Maybe since they announced this one, that it's not out there anymore. But
yeah. I kind of looked at some of their sessions too, and I was just amazed at the variety.
Yeah, a lot of topics.
Everything you can think of.
Wow. Well, thank you. I'm definitely going to look into that, see if there's something that would help me. Does anyone else have anything to bring up?
Since you mentioned the German, Denise, there is, I don't know if you're aware that there is, if you go to FamilySearch, and I don't have that thing right here to show you, but they have recorded or digitized now town records. And the town records actually are by family. So you can look up families. If you know the town, you can look up the family and see if the family existed, and they have town records. And they're back in the 1800s and earlier.
Okay.
And I got them too. And I wish I don't know German, so I can't tell you, but I'm sure you can find it in the FamilySearch wiki.
Okay, yeah. I'll look that up. I'll look that up too.
And you can, if you're using some of these browsers like Chrome, it lets you translate automatically. Right. So that's helpful. That can be helpful.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm definitely going to look that up too, because that's one of my mystery areas.
Yeah. So it's very handy. I've not spent much time on it yet because I'm trying to get through the ones that are over here before I
Okay.
trying to suffer through German.
Okay. Well, thank you
know.
for that. I'll look at that
Yeah.
too.
And anyone else have anything special to talk about?
Mm.
Along that line, okay, excuse me, Family Search has monthly webinars, and so if you go to Family Search, actually they come through the library, Family History Library which is Family Search, and they have weekly seminars, Zoom seminars that you can listen to on various topics. And so just go Google that, not Google that, go to the wiki and you can find that information. I didn't copy the January, February list yet. They don't do one in December because of Christmas, but and then they tell you all the different, and some of them are going to be on German, some of them are going to be beginner things, or how to do research, how to use the wiki. Some of them, if you're Scottish, there's one on Scottish ancestors, or one on Swedish that I've seen, French, German, of course. And there's even some in Spanish too, which
Okay.
I don't have to have, but
Yeah, I listened to a Norwegian one once, so it was very good.
there you go. Yeah. There you go. You just found out about it through Wiki, right? Through
Yep.
Through the wiki?
Yeah.
And if you sign up, they'll send you notices of everything that's upcoming for the next couple of months, so you
And then
can
you
pick
can
and choose or
register.
trash it, whichever you prefer.
If you're registered, I think this is the way it works, Steve, correct me if I'm wrong. It's free to register and to view it. If you want to get it through Facebook at a later time, because they record it and put it on Facebook, I think you have to be registered, don't you, to be able to get to it on Facebook?
I believe you had to be registered, for just about everything there now.
Yeah. Okay.
Because I wanted to look something up real quick one day, and I had to sign in and go through. I'm registered.
Yeah,
you
I had to sign in and do all that, but they wouldn't let you look at it. So
right,
it's still free.
You got to have your ID and password.
Right, but it's still free.
Yep.
So I know we've looked at this before, but where are the classes again?
Go to the Family History Library over on the left, down, right there.
Keep going.
Okay, let's reopen the announcement. But you
You want
should
to go
be able
back
to
to Wiki,
find
I think.
here, learning. Go under learning. I'll bet you.
Under learning?
Yeah, that was there. Go
Yeah,
under
there you go.
learning, and then see if the class.
Live classes and webinars, right?
There you go. There you go.
Okay.
There you go.
We
That's it.
have it
These are all the
recorded so
different
we
ones.
can come back and refer to this if we need to.
Right, you can register, and there's a handout usually, and then
One of the other things that you can do is sign up. If you wanted to sign up, Denise, for the German side, they have kind of a community for a specific area of Germany or maybe all of Germany. And you can ask questions or you can review questions other people have there. If you had a couple paragraphs that you couldn't interpret or read, or some strange sect of German, somebody there knows how to translate it and will do it for you and send it back.
Okay, thank you.
So that's another thing you can utilize.
Okay.
Well, I'll have to try that too. And Steve has showed me more about his the spreadsheets that have been done up north about the vital records. And the question is how we put those online so they're searchable. That's the big question, and not spend a lot of money. Nobody wants to spend money. I'm thinking I went to a library conference, and I think Recollection Wisconsin might have some help. I talked to them briefly at their booth, and they don't have any direct answers, but they said to write to them. And so I'm thinking to try that. The other idea I had was WordPress. You can have a free WordPress site. And I thought I saw an add-on for WordPress that does a database search. So that would be one way to totally put it up for free. so that it was searchable, but that's something to look into. And I have not.
I'll see if I can find a WordPress. I haven't looked at that in years, so I have no
Yeah.
idea.
Well, it's just one way to do it for absolute no money, no money. And
Yeah,
It's just one of those services you want to have available. It doesn't have to
And
be.
they originally put the people up north, Myrma and all kinds, well, several people are gone now that worked on it, but they wanted to put it on GenWeb at one time. And I don't think GenWeb even exists anymore.
I don't think so.
I don't think so. And
No.
also the contact that we had through the Peninsula
Genealogical Society.
Yeah, she actually passed away. So that source went away. So
And they disbanded.
right.
But their site, the story of their site is, let me see if I can pull that up for you. Of course, I
think
have
it's
that.
still there, isn't it?
Yeah, I know what happened to it. At one time, I had the password in my hands quite a while ago before they disbanded. But they maintained it, and then when they gave up, here it is. This is the easy way I find it every time. This was, who does this? Roots Web. It was free to them through Roots
Yeah.
Web.
Right.
And then for a while it was taken down by Roots Web. All the sites were taken down. And
Right.
then they modernized their website. So I'll bet you if you go here, I don't know, it's owned by Ancestry now.
Right.
And they modernized it. I know they put it on Drupal because I can recognize the way it looks. And then they brought it all back, but in a better format, a better content management system format. So it's all back there now, but there's no one at the society maintaining it because they disbanded. But because I think because they have so much information that's just in there, it's useful to have this site and have this search here for this site. I use it for a lot of things, to just look up place names and records. They, very early on, they were suspicious or hesitant to have anything to do with Find a Grave. So they did a lot of cemetery records, and they're not the same as Find a Grave, which is a good thing now that we know people are putting things on Find a Grave that are fictitious. So it's good to have another place to look for the local Door County people, I think. But so that's how you can get to it easily through our library website. And that's the story behind it, of how they, the site was updated to be modern.
Do you have any idea who gets into it and can do updating on it at all, Laura?
I could find out, but I don't know for sure if they do.
I mean, could the library take it over if you could get the rights transferred?
I don't know.
A logical place.
It seems like I could ask.
Give that.
I know.
Give that to Steve. What's his name? Rice is his last name?
Yeah.
Yeah, Steve Rice. Give it to him.
Another thing for him to worry about.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. I could probably find out because I know who was behind it originally, but I don't know that they're doing anything. However, would anyone here Steve, would you be interested in doing any maintenance at any point?
I'd have to look at it and see what it would take. I don't know until I'd have looked. As I recall, that Roots Web thing is pretty basic maintenance issues, but now that Ancestry has it, who knows what they've changed or how it's integrated. So,
right.
Well, as I say, I know it was very primitive early internet stuff when I first looked at it. And now I can tell by the fact that it says sites that's a Drupal website, because that's a folder in Drupal, which is a high-end, but open source content management system.
Right. Yeah, that was developed, I'm going to guess, around early 2000s.
Yeah, so I'll...
That's a dinosaur.
I think it was mostly...
Drupal is being updated.
I think it was mostly
last year is a
nested.
dinosaur, Steve.
Pardon?
Anything from last year is a dinosaur.
Well, that's probably true too.
I happen to know about Drupal because our library website is Drupal, and we're going to give it up because we are not ready to upgrade to the new version that's going to be used everywhere. And we just don't want to, I'm near retirement and I was one of the main people doing it, and the rest of the people want to have it easy.
Give it
so
to
they're going to
Steve.
go-
Give it to
Well, they're going to
Steve.
go to a very easy management sort of system.
Give
So,
it to Steve Rice.
but Drupal itself is updated, and a lot of the big companies use it, the big commercial companies.
Hmm.
So it is very, if you go to the newest version, it's pretty update.
Is it easy to use? Because I looked at
No,
that. I
it's
did,
not
okay,
easy.
yeah. That was
It
my
has a-
impression too, was that it was not very easy to use.
It has a pretty higher learning curve.
Yeah, yeah.
But a lot of, when I first started, Illinois libraries were using it. That's how I got into it. But it's too much now.
Yeah, we got to follow the KISS principle.
What's that?
Keep it simple, stupid.
Yeah,
Yeah, right.
exactly.
That's right. Yep.
Yeah.
Keep it simple, stupid.
So you never know, if we could figure out how to get into that PGS site, maybe we could put the spreadsheets there.
Yeah, because I think they might have a database search. There may be an engine that you can just drop in. I don't know how that website was set up. What the
And
pieces-
how they've put it in the new system. Who knows?
I
how
haven't done a
that works.
website in 15 years, so I have no idea what the new stuff is anymore. So
Yeah. Well, I'll
Yeah.
look into and see if anyone has a clue. Because I know some of the people who were involved with it. Okay,
Okay.
any other ideas about that?
Different topic, if I may bring.
Sure.
Has anybody, I know Steve, you were reading Dick Eastman's blog. Have you been keeping up with it?
I didn't renew the last 6 months or something, or last quarter, just because I wasn't taking the time to read it. I read whatever I get. Yes.
Yeah, okay, because lately I've not found any articles of interest on that blog.
He's off on
it
different
used to be-
tangents. He gets off on different tangents that are not
Yeah,
to me.
yeah. His big thing is paperless, genealogy and all that, and he spends more time on that than I think anything else.
Oh, he was off on
know?
a tangent this last week
Yeah,
on
and,
something up in the different cloud programs that I had never heard of. It didn't make any sense.
right. Yeah, that's the same thing I
Okay.
experienced too, and I was wondering if anybody else had that experience, because I don't think I'm going to renew it. When it comes.
He seems to be a little more on computer stuff now than genealogy stuff.
Right, exactly.
And often he's recommending some new thing that he's tried for a couple of weeks, and I'm sure not going to jump into anything like that.
No,
And it's not cheap stuff that he's recommending either. It's expensive stuff. So,
Yeah.
or relatively, I should say, but
Yeah.
$400, $500, $600 to
Well,
try something. Mm,
Yeah,
Wow.
he probably gets it for free.
probably.
Yeah, because of his blog, he probably gets that for free. So I don't know. Just like the genealogy guys blog, which came to me, was so highly recommended. I've been reading that and looking at that. And I don't see anything there,
Oh,
of any interest. I don't know.
I think the things we talk about here, like Ritz Tech and that Matricula and all that, are far more valuable to our needs
Yeah,
than
yeah.
some of these
Definitely.
blogs out there.
Yeah.
I do read I glance at the legal genealogist blog, and she had an article recently on deeds and patents, which I found interesting.
Yeah.
And the land patents and what they actually mean versus when you have a land deed.
Mhm.
So I'd recommend that. That's her latest article. She's kind of useful because she does give you the legal side of things.
Mhm. Yeah, she's pretty good. She
Well, she's
was the
sharp.
main speaker at a Wisconsin genealogy conference. Oh, I'm going to say 3-4 years ago. She was the main speaker, and she was very good, very, very interesting. Very
Yeah, I
interesting.
also think that MyHeritage is doing some interesting things. Has anyone followed that? I'm forgetting what I got on my email recently, but they're always trying these new things, and they let people try them out.
Yeah, I've looked into some of their stuff, and it is kind of nifty, but it does get a little pricey when they're
I've never
giving-
paid anything.
pardon.
I always do
No,
the free
You
way,
get to
but you're
try it,
right.
but then if you want to use it a second or third time, you got to buy in, and it's
You gotta buy
rivaling, if
100%.
not exceeding Ancestry these days. So,
Yeah. You
but
buy
they have some
100%.
neat things. You're right. I think some of that stuff they're doing on retouching up your photos and live
here's-
photos and all that.
Here's their blog, and I don't know, they have these new label things. I have not tried that out for DNA.
Yeah.
But they are listing here those Roots Tech, the Roots
There it
Tech
is, yeah.
conference.
Let's see, meet us at Roots Tech 21. So if you could probably go click on that site and you could probably still get all those. I
Yeah.
don't know.
Another they do a lot with photographs and,
Yeah.
colorizing movement
Right.
and then repairing. A certain amount is free, as you say. The other thing, what was it that I saw that was pretty interesting? They were asking for people to send in stories of their famous ancestors, or their not famous ancestors, their ancestors who were at famous events, if they have any photographs of it.
Oh,
I thought that sounded kind of interesting.
One
Is that-
of the things that I figured, you mentioned the photos, and they were kind of a pioneer in coming up with live photos and colorization and everything. But there's a lot of services out there now that
Doing
are
that.
part of Google, part of Apple, part of this, part of other apps out there that do the same thing now. So it was kind of their unique little cubbyhole
Yeah.
for a while, but now all of a sudden it's been opened up to everybody. But it's nice you can go in and clean up photos, and I just played with it a little bit. And, well, it takes out a lot of the scratches and all the garbage that were in some of those old photos. And
Yeah.
Isn't Ancestry trying to do something along those lines?
I read something where they were, but I don't know what. If it's
Yeah, me too.
gonna
I just
happen or
thought
not, I don't know.
I don't either. I just read it somewhere.
Yep.
And I
They're
thought
all-
that sounds an awfully lot like my heritage.
Yeah, they're all trying to compete with each other.
Yeah.
I've never paid anything for my heritage, but I uploaded my DNA there fairly long ago. And so they give you free matches and all of those things. And when I first did it, they gave me all these tools, which they later took away, but they allowed they grandfathered in the people who had them already. So that was nice. So I still have all those and I kind of like it. And the fun thing is just last week, I got a new match for someone who's in Bulgaria. But the interesting thing is I know exactly who it is because my grandmother and his grandmother were first cousins. And my sister and I had been researching him anyway, his career for our family tree. And he was an executive that worked for a company that was in Bulgaria. So I guess he stayed there, but he's from Green Bay area or Ohio, I think, but the family heritage is from Green Bay. So that was kind of funny to see his name pop up there in Bulgaria.
How much information do they let you look at when they have a match? Ancestry used to do that, where if you had a match on your DNA, they'd let you go. They'd tell you who it was. You could contact them. Look at that part of the tree. Now they won't let you do that anymore. They say, "Oh, we got this great match for you. Send us a couple $100 and you can look at it."
Yeah.
I don't know if my heritage is doing that or not yet.
On my heritage, they let me see the match completely, and they let me contact the person. I wrote this man an email or a message through the site, but he hasn't responded yet. And they let you see a little bit of their person's family tree if they have it. So I was able to confirm that he really was who I thought he was. And then, as I say, they gave me some tools. What are those called when you see the DNA numbers and you can match different people to see where on the DNA you actually match up with people?
Oh,
what's that called? I can't think of this.
I
Yeah.
can't-
So I have a tool. That's the one they took away, but I still have it because I was in early enough, which is pretty nice, I think. So I find that very, very useful. And the fact that they let me contact people is really great. I cannot go to MyHeritage and look at people. They keep sending me matches through trees. And when I try to talk to those people who do not have the DNA, I can't contact them.
Right.
And it's maddening because, you know, they have so many Europeans there and all these Germans are matching me.
Let me ask a question. And maybe Tom, you might, or Laura, you guys might have a good handle on it. Is FamilySearch, are you going to end up with the same amount of information through FamilySearch as you will using an Ancestry or MyHeritage, which are maybe better indexed? I don't know, but seems like everything is related back to FamilySearch for all of these places. Maybe I'm missing something.
A lot of it
is because they were, you know, they were the first one,
Yeah.
and they were the most aggressive one. You know, they went over. Well, they still are doing it. I forget what the statistic is. They, you know, they have it's some unbelievable number of new images and new records that they come up with every day. You know, it's just because they're still doing it.
Yeah. And I went to a library conference once where they, this is many years ago now, they were talking about it. Somebody from FamilySearch, I think, was talking about it. And they made a deal at about that time with Ancestry that they would have free versions of Ancestry in all the FamilySearch libraries. And then they would share information with Ancestry. That was the trade-off. Of course, FamilySearch records are free to see. I don't know that I've ever seen many like school yearbooks on FamilySearch. Have you? That type of thing? I know that a lot of those are on Ancestry. Yeah, because we were making a list of school yearbooks in Door County between the museum and here in the library. And then I also listed the ones on Ancestry, but I can't remember seeing that on things like that on FamilySearch, right?
I think FamilySearch has city directories, but I haven't seen.
Yeah, city directories.
School yearbook.
City directories.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there are some things that you can't get, but right now I think I saw that for a limited time, MyHeritage has free search of some directories. So if you're interested in that, have a look.
You know, that does make me wonder. I wonder if, or I've often thought if the city directories are like the newspapers in the sense of, I usually go to Heritage Quest to look at city directories. However, they're also available at different spots, Ancestry, FamilySearch, whatever. I guess initially I thought, well, if I look at one, I look at it. I mean, but perhaps I'm wondering if same Heritage Quest has the same cities or areas that the others do, or is it like newspapers? Some sites carry, you know, certain newspapers in, I don't know, New York City or something, and other sites carry other newspapers from that area. Is that the same thing with city directories? Do you think that there may be, I might be looking for a city that I can't find a directory for, say on Heritage Quest, but perhaps one of the other sites might have it. Do they kind of spread it out that way too? Does anybody know?
I think it's individual. I know, for example, you know, I'm interested in Rescarta content management system because we use that for the newspapers, and they have Los Angeles and Minneapolis city directories from the libraries there on Rescarta.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know if those, I doubt those, I don't know if they filter into Ancestry or anything.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's
The others.
Do I have, if I'm looking for a certain city in the state to look at their directory, do I have to look at maybe 4 different sites to see if I can find it?
I would think so.
You think so? Like you do with newspapers, if you're looking for,
I
you know.
think you could almost do a Google search and say, I'm looking for the city directory for 1948.
Yeah.
For Milwaukee, Wisconsin. And I think they'll point to you to where to go find it.
Yeah. Okay.
I've done that before and I've come up with a ton. it's all kind of public records. I mean, a lot of this genealogy is all public record. Is what you're paying
Yeah.
for is people who have indexed it all and organized it, I
right.
believe.
As long as it's more than 75 years old, it's public record, pretty much.
Well, public, free, if you can find it.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. We get next year. We get 1950, don't we?
Yep. Some of us are going to show up.
April.
Yeah, I'll show up too.
I'm going to show up in the next one. Yeah.
I'll show
Yeah, I
up.
think I'll finally make it too.
Yep.
I'm not quite there.
You're just a kid. That's right. You're a kid.
You're a kid.
Quit
yeah.
bragging.
Yeah.
Quit
Pretty
bragging.
soon, pretty soon. Very soon.
Yeah. I just, that's about it. I don't have anything else.
Well, I'll tell you one fun thing that I came across, and this is how genealogy plays into everything I do. We're just giving out the books for Door County REITs. Has everyone heard that?
Mhm.
And Michael Perry is our author, and there are two books. One is called Truck, and one is called my brain's freezing. 485s.
485.
And what's the
Keep good.
beginning? But when I was reading over Truck, it's where he's repairing a 1980s International Harvester pickup truck.
Mhm.
And he keeps mentioning things about the company, the logo, how it was designed. And he mentions this Irma Harding, who was a mascot for the company. If you Google her, she looks like a Betty Crocker type of character. They made refrigerators and all sorts of things. So was doing cookbooks and all sorts of things, but she's fictitious. So I looked in the Door County newspapers, and sure enough, Irma Harding was going to be at an event at the Schleiss Orchard in Forestville in 1948. So I Googled just Schleiss and Orchard and things, and came up with an article that was written very recently in early November in the Pulse, where the new Julie Schmelzer, who is a new business manager or something at the Door County Economic Development Corporation, has applied for the Smithsonian to do a traveling exhibit. They do traveling exhibits on different subjects, and she applied to do one on the cherry industry in Door County. And she won. So
Good.
after 2023, they'll be putting together a traveling exhibit. And it turns out in the article, she talks all about the Schleiss Orchard and how the person who ran it invented a couple different things to do with the orchard industry. So I thought, I guess he may have patents. I tried looking up the patents. I didn't find them. But
Wasn't that Mark Schleiss? Was it who did the cherry picker? And
Yeah.
he
Was
did
it Mark?
cherry- and he did cherry smoke. That, where you'd burn the little, sort of like a charcoal, but it's gives off the cherry smell and stuff. He made cherry smoke. I think that was Mark Schleiss.
Well, here's the story. Let me see if I can pull it up. It's interesting how one thing leads to another, always. It's not coming up here, but was it Mark Schleiss? Yes. Did you know him?
Yep.
Or of him? Oh, neat.
Yeah.
Oh, my.
Well, yeah, we chatted a bit. We were acquaintances, but not really know him. He was, I think it was Tony was his son.
Mhm.
Tony and Rita Schleiss. Yeah, I think that was Mark's son, but he's passed also now. But down further than that, I don't know if there's living relatives right now. I would not be surprised, but with my
Yeah.
late husband being kind of in the cherry business or as a processor, I kind of got to meet a lot of these people.
So this should be really fun,
Yeah, I think it'd be
when
neat.
it won't come out for a few years, but the fact that she got that
Yeah.
into the Smithsonian exhibits should be pretty neat. And I'm hoping maybe we can do something with it when it comes out, if I'm still here. But I hope you'll all come and get your free book.
No, wait a minute now. That's the second time you've mentioned this leaving. What is this?
I'm near retirement age, but
Well,
I'll
What
still
are you
be.
talking about? You're only about 35.
Yeah,
So have you set a date for this thing yet?
no.
Oh, okay.
No.
Well, we can't have you leave yet. You haven't built the archives yet.
That's Steve Rice. He's taking that over. He's got a lot on his plate. That's for sure.
I figured you'd probably run it.
Yeah. And should I throw out another fun story?
Sure.
They're working on getting grants for the granary here in town.
Yeah.
They're restoring it and making it into a museum and things. And they're going to apply for a grant with the, it's called the David and Rita Nelson grant through the Fox Valley Community Foundation. And so my sister was looking that up, and it was telling about how the Nelsons were in De Pere, which is my hometown. And it turns out when she heard those names, Rita Nelson, David's pretty common, but Rita, it rang a bell in her head. And sure enough, they grew up 2 blocks from us in De Pere. The family was 2 blocks from us. And actually, there was a son, Dickie Nelson, who was my age. And this family has donated the 2 seniors passed away, but they donated $100 million to that community foundation in the Fox Valley, which puts them on the list of the top 50 donators in the country. There's an article out there about it.
What was the business they were in?
Well, the father he did a number of things, but primarily he was involved with the newspaper corporation in Green Bay, which was originally the Press Gazette and the Post Crescent. And then they split apart in 1962 and he went with the Post Crescent. And then apparently he bought a whole bunch of different radio stations and things like that. And you can find this all online. When they gave the money to the foundation, the son, Dickie Nelson, who was my age, is talking about how humble the family was. They never thought they had a lot of money. They only bought their pants from Sears. But what an amazing thing to see this. Again,
is that the Nelson family with Gaylord Nelson, or is that
no,
Nelson?
it's a completely different Nelson. Yeah. But who would have thought that? You're growing up with someone like that.
I can't even conceive of $100 million.
I have no idea what $100 million is.
Yeah.
But this foundation is really good for preservation. They've given money to restore lighthouses and is it the Green Knoll House Museum in Wisconsin, a whole bunch of other things. So they're very big into historic preservation, which I think should be great. I hope they can get a grant for the granary. I'm looking forward to seeing that develop. So that's just another weird story where things all go around in a circle in this world.
We used to shop at Sears all the time. My uncle worked there. I better check my bank account.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My wife worked there when she was in college for a while, one summer.
And my parents had Kenmore Appliances, which was the Sears brand.
Yeah, we had Kenmore when we started out.
I wonder about the houses here, some of the houses here in town, if they're Sears houses.
Yes, they are. My daughter had one.
Oh, really?
On Pennsylvania.
Oh, neat. And did you trace that it was a Sears house? You were able to trace that?
That's what I didn't look into it in any depth. That's just what they had told her. So.
Well, that's
interesting. It had been added on to several times, so it was kind of hard to follow.
That would be an interesting project to find the Sears houses in the city or in a locale.
Yeah. There is a big architectural database through the State Historical Society, and there's a lot of buildings in it, and they'll have information like that if they know it.
Oh, okay.
But they don't have every house in there. Houses are one of my main interests because people are always asking about buildings and houses in town. always, so.
And some of those records, I don't know how much of the abstracts have all been kept that go back, 150 years. So,
No, I know.
because
And
in
they-
the, what was it, in the 1970s, things started to switch over to title companies and
Yeah.
got away from I don't know if any of you ever saw the old abstracts over the years.
Oh, I have. I
When
had
you buy a
one.
house, it would be about 1.5 feet thick of the
I
history of the
know.
land.
I had one from my parents. This was in a suburb of Milwaukee, but they bought that house in, oh boy, 47 or 1947 or 8, and lived there the whole time. And then when they passed, I had to put it up for sale. And they were amazed that I had the abstracts
Right.
of them, a roll of, like you say, papers galore. And they were really fun to read. And I thought, what a shame that we don't have that nowadays. Now it's just, here's a piece of paper and you've got the title and that's about it.
Well, they go back to land grants,
Oh,
and
sure.
Really,
Yeah,
it's really kind of cool.
they
I read
are.
one.
They're fun.
I
They're
was
fun.
in banking, and as a banker, we read lots of those over the years. So
Yeah, yeah.
I think that if you go to, like, at least around Door County, if you go to the Register of Deeds, they have a tract file where you can trace it. It's just a lot of work to do the work.
what is, because you got to go date by date, year by year. Yeah.
Yeah.
You can look at the grantee and grantor files.
Yep.
And those are interesting too. And
Yeah.
once you can figure out what a grantee is versus a grantor.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So there's a lot of information out there. You just have to always, like with the directories and newspapers, you have to figure out where to find it and how to do it.
Yeah.
But things are coming together all over the place with technology. So who knows what the future holds.
Well, I think we've been somewhat spoiled to a degree that we just yell at the computer, why isn't it there? I mean, I'm relying on it being there when it's really, what do they say, about only 10% of all genealogy information has been digitized?
Wow.
It's really small, a very small
Yeah.
percentage.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, you still have to go to courthouses. You
yep,
can't get away from that in church records.
yep,
You
yep.
gotta follow those up. And some of the churches are a lot harder to find. Like, it's difficult to find Catholic church records because you're not sure where they went.
Yep.
Oh
Some
yeah,
of them went to the
I tried
bishop's
to track a
place.
couple of those, and you call people, you talk to them. Oh
Yeah,
yeah,
I mean,
well, we kind
call-
of merged with this parish, and then the diocese took over, but then the
Right,
archdiocese has it all, and it's in a basement, and I think it got flooded.
Yeah,
I know I have trouble with there's one side where both sides of the family, but it's either, I thought they were Methodist Episcopal, but I got to look under Methodists. I've got to look under Episcopal. Then I have to look under those called Methodist Episcopal because they're in there somewhere, but that just sort of triples the church records I've got to try to find. And of course, it's a guess anyway, that they kind of remain the same. So, and I have no clue what the heck the combination was between Methodists and Episcopals to become the Methodist Episcopals. I don't know how that occurred.
I hadn't even heard there was that.
Never heard of that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Where is that you're looking?
Well, they're around, but these people were primarily southeastern Pennsylvania, say the York area and Baltimore, Maryland, and a little bit into Virginia, a little bleeding into Virginia. And many of them were ministers in the Methodist Church, but then they were ministers in so-and-so ME Church, Methodist Episcopal Church. And I don't know, I don't know how come they combined. Now, the interesting thing too is you'll often see nowadays anyway, what they call the AME, which is the African Methodist Episcopal Church.
Wow.
And it's a real hazy area that I don't understand at all, but anything says Methodist or Episcopal, I guess I'm looking through, you know.
Mhm.
It's all
Yeah,
you can
it's-
do. But it gets confusing with the religions. That's for sure.
Yeah, I had my German who came over in 1842 to and then up in Milwaukee we have letters where he's talking to the people from the early German Evangelical Lutheran Church, the founders of it, in the letters. And then he ends up a short time later in Fond du Lac, and he's on the vestry of the Episcopal Church.
Yeah.
Now, how did that happen?
Well, that's interesting because I was talking to, oh golly, he in Sturgeon Bay, he's the minister at the Episcopal Church, and he also has the one in Jacksonport, I believe. He also he is basically, I think, if I remember what he told me correctly, that he's a Lutheran that is preaching Episcopalianism. There was some sort of I don't know if I'm assuming this, perhaps a difficulty in getting ministers or pastors, whatever you want to call them, or what. But there's a deal that even though he's a Lutheran, he can do the Episcopal services. And I don't know how that quite works, but maybe that helps answer your question a little bit, Laura. Could be along those lines.
Yeah, I did read, I've read about it, not recently, but they did do a lot of cooperation early on because there were not a lot of, they were all pioneers in Wisconsin in the 1840s, pretty much.
Yeah.
So
I know a number of Catholic priests have gone over to the Episcopalians because of marriage.
Yeah.
And they're very, very similar. And in fact, I remember growing up, if you couldn't get to a Catholic church on Sunday, it was okay to go to an Episcopalian because they were
because I was baptized Episcopalian, and there's degrees. There's the high Episcopal, and there's the lower Episcopal. But the high Episcopal is very much like the Roman Catholicism, except for a few things like not believing in the Pope and
marriage.
And marriage, as I recollect. But otherwise, the swinging of the incense and the whole 9 yards was just as just as highfalutin.
Yeah, but why the Lutherans would have got hooked up with them, I don't know.
Yeah, I can't understand that one.
That one doesn't make sense, but
so go figure.
well, it's interesting history. Does anyone have anything else to say, or should we wrap it up?
I was just going to ask, I'm curious what everybody's working on, just briefly, what everybody's got going right now, who you're researching or what you're researching. And I'll start. I'm started to look at my Bohemian Czech records, my relatives overseas, and getting into the parish records and the church records. And it's just very difficult. It's very challenging, let's put it that way.
The language really makes it hard, right?
The language, the records go from Latin to Slavic to German, depending what you're looking at. And I did find some relatives over there in the census records, and I found so many, I'm going to have to put them on an Excel spreadsheet to try to figure out who everybody is. It's just very challenging, very challenging.
Do you think they're relatives or just people of the same name? Have you been able to determine whether they fit or not fit?
It's interesting because my relatives tend to use the same names over and over again, like a lot of them did way back then. And I know where my relatives came from in Bohemia. I got them where my great-great-grandfather was. But 20 minutes down the road, there's like another family. So I would assume that they're related somehow because they live so close.
Mm-hmm.
But I haven't figured any of that connection out because it's difficult to read the church records and to try to get people to translate. It's very, very difficult. But
someone on
it is challenging. I have been looking at FamilySearch on how to sort through the records and how to translate things, but it's just very challenging.
Mhm.
So,
I have Czech too, or Bohemian, but at one point about 15 years ago, somehow through our research, we came across an American living in the country, and he helped us a little bit for a short time.
yeah,
I don't
it's-
remember the details of it, and then now he's not available anymore, but that was really, if you can find a person who knows something, that might be helpful.
Right, right. I'm
That's-
thinking maybe eventually I'll probably have to work with somebody over in Czechoslovakia to help look at these records. And so, but that's eventually. So I
Check
have
on
to say-
Facebook groups. You never know. There's,
Oh,
I would think it would be real difficult, Denise, because so many of the borders changed
yeah,
They did.
and many times.
They did.
Still are.
Yeah,
They
that
did.
would be one big headache,
Right.
really.
Actually,
Yeah.
actually, where they lived in Bohemia, it started out as part of the Habsburg Empire, and then switched to the Austro-Hungary Empire. And
Yeah.
then, of course, Czechoslovakia was formed after World War One,
Mhm.
and then the Germans came in, in the 30s, and then after World War II, they were actually in French-occupied Europe. So it's just very challenging. And what I find really interesting is I can track them, my family, through probably about the 1910, 1920 census. And then they kind of disappear. So I'm not sure what happened. So it's interesting, but it's difficult as well.
Mhm.
Very time consuming, I'm sure.
Yeah, it is, especially when you have all these different people. So I thought I'll just pull out the Excel and start putting them on a spreadsheet and trying to figure it out. So,
Yeah.
Well, good luck.
oh,
If you find
thank
any
you.
real secrets, let me know.
I will.
Yeah,
I will.
Yeah, because I've got them too. I've got Czech one relatives too. Came over in 1848.
Hmm.
Yeah, and my dad's side was completely Czech or Bohemian, but they
Right.
came in like the
Right.
1860s, I think.
They're in,
Right. My
they
great
actually
great
are in, now
Right.
the town is in
Yeah.
Czech, the Czech Republic.
my great great grandfather came over in 1884 and settled in Milwaukee. So we know that for a fact. He's on the records coming over. So
Mhm. Well, anyone else have anything to add or tell about who you're researching?
Well, all I can say is that what I've been doing is going back and trying to re-verify everything. I've gotten information from a lot of family sources, and I've accumulated a lot of sources. Now I'm trying to go back and look at the actual documents as much as I can find them, or I have them already, and make sure they're correct. And you find a lot of little mistakes here and there. So
mhm.
I'm not cultivating any new ground right now. I'm just going back over what we've done and trying to clean it up. I
Right.
end up with duplicates of a lot of stuff just because that's what happens. So
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's kind of what I've been doing too. As a matter of fact, I made myself a little sticky note and I shoved it right on the top of my pile. And it says, stop researching, start organizing.
Yeah.
Because I'm pretty much an organizational person or organized, but man, I love the researching part of genealogy much better, than I do the organizing of it. And I've
Right.
got to do it because I now have too many pieces of paper, too many old notes from, oh my gosh, 2007, 2008,
Mhm.
something like that, I probably missed in the early years, and I probably missed something. And I should go through it all also, Steve. But I'm getting swamped in the hard copies of things that I've kept. And I've got to clean it up because I don't even know where I am some days.
well, I scanned
Mhm.
everything I have and put it online. So
Yeah,
I
yeah.
don't have
Well-
paper to go through. I'm going through the document. Unfortunately, I have to print some of them out so I can understand what they were, but
Well, I know. Yeah. And I've
but then you can
scanned,
just shred them and be done with it.
I've scanned some of it, but I have to be better at it. I just got to sit down with that one person and stop going, down the rabbit hole and just take care of that one, get everything scanned. But I don't, I have to admit.
Understand.
Right.
Well,
It's
okay, it's, yes, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, so we'll meet first Thursday in January. What is
Yeah,
this?
is anyone ever interested in doing a live meeting, or should we stick with this or do both, or?
That's- Well,
I don't care one way or the other.
I don't either.
Yeah,
I mean,
I'm
that's what-
open.
yeah, I'm down. Well, Dave, you're all the way up in Sister Bay, aren't you?
Yeah, if you're having the meeting at the Sister Bay Library, I'll be happy to go.
Would we get
Who
some more
knows?
people? Would we get more people to show up if we were meeting at the library, Laura, do you think?
Well, we could do both. I've been almost asked to do some sort of class or something here. We've been getting pretty low turnout for everything these days,
Oh.
of course, with the situation, but it wouldn't hurt maybe to make a simple class, like learn how to start.
Mhm.
And if I do that, I'd be happy if anyone wants to come give me a hand.
Mhm.
Sure.
I tried something at the ADRC a few months ago and got like 2 people to come.
Yeah.
But that was even closer to when the, COVID is putting a damper on a lot of things.
Mhm.
But we
Yeah,
do
it
have
tends-
meetings here now in low numbers.
Yeah, Laura, I went to some meeting at the library some years ago. Was that through Learning in Retirement or something you offered on genealogy?
I've done it through, I think I did it through
Yeah.
through Learning in Retirement in the past, and then just on my own.
Yeah, I
Just
remember
try to-
attending something genealogy related. I think it was more of a beginning.
Yeah,
Um,
I've tried different, like,
Yeah.
beginning and then one on DNA and things like that. But
Yeah.
maybe just a very general, get started with genealogy and see if people come, and then we can always get them to join in here.
Well, the other thing too is that both Ancestry and FamilySearch have changed their homepage, their search pages, whatever.
Yeah, they
they're-
have.
I'm trying to think of the name and I can't. And I know a lot of people are having trouble navigating those, but that would be more if you did do something, how to search using those sites, at least you would be showing them how to do it on the new navigation page or whatever you want to call it, which is a thought too.
Yeah, so it could be, I could maybe plan a small series
Sure.
Sure.
and see what
Yeah, I'll
happens.
help.
Tom, do you think, remember what we did up in Sister Bay, where we had somebody man the library for a couple hours once a month or every week, I think it was. Shouldn't say.
Every week.
And
Yeah.
it seemed like we had 2-3 people showed up to
Right.
ask either general
Yeah, it
questions
went
or
in-
very, very
well,
specific ones. We got a lot of new members out of it.
Dave did it a lot too, but some weeks you'd have 4 people and some weeks you'd have 1 or none. It was
Never
all.
knew. Well, we got a
Yeah.
lot of new members out of it, or people that were interested in
Well,
joining.
yeah.
us.
Yeah.
And they
What was
also,
it? Was it something like a reference genealogy or ask the genealogist or something?
ask,
Yeah,
a-
type of
Something
thing?
like that.
Ask the genie, well, ask us pure,
ask a question and we'll try to find, either we'll answer the
Right.
question or
Mhm.
try to
Yeah.
find somebody in our group that can.
Yeah.
And,
That's actually a good idea to have
That
that.
is.
Mhm.
And it was just dropping. And that worked pretty well, don't you think, Dave?
Yeah, it worked very well. That, of course, once everything shut down, then we stopped doing it. I
Well,
had
of
a few
course.
phone calls from people. The library still had people call, but I haven't had anything for a long time.
I
Yeah.
think a lot of us aged out of doing it too, because there was, there was only a handful of people that actually did it every week, and it just kind
Is-
of,
That seems to be the way of the world. I mean, it's
Yeah.
there's always a handful of doers, and
Well, even at, in the winter program at the clearing, we would do one every other year. And that was like a 4-week, 4-session class. And we usually got, usually anywhere from 8 to 10 people, 8 to 12 people. But then part of the class was a lecture thing and questions. And then each of the attendees was assigned a member of our group as their mentor. And that we ran into trouble. We ended up with not enough mentors.
Yeah.
People aged out, but
Some of us were south.
yeah. And I mean, it's interesting. You can find, sometimes you find that people come in and they know enough and they get frustrated because they don't know enough. Okay. And they don't necessarily want to do what you need to do to be able to answer your question. They want to be able to just to go to the screen and say, here's my answer. It doesn't work that way.
Yeah.
But I'll be more than happy to help too.
Well, maybe I'll just plan a sort of beginning thing and see if we can get any interest.
Okay.
I think we have to advertise it a lot.
Right.
That's I mean, we had a thing, they had a thing up in Sister Bay where it was in the Pulse every week. It was in the activity list that it was 2:00 on Tuesday.
Yeah.
And so people knew that. And that's, like my wife just said, that's how I found it. Well, and I also took the genealogy, the genealogy class there that you put on for the clearing. So
Yeah, I think that's a good idea to ask the genealogist, maybe something for next year. I think that's cool. Now, as far as Sister Bay, for me, that's far, but to go to Egg Harbor, Sturgeon Bay, I mean, I'd be fine with that.
Well, if I plant something here,
Sturgeon Bay probably, but
if I plant something here,
do it up in Sister Bay if you wanted to.
if someone wants to lead something in Sister Bay, let me know. We can work together to do that. If I plant something, it'd probably be after Door County Reads, which is the beginning of February. So Door County Reads is the very end of January through half of February. And then after that, it's pretty open.
Yeah, that was the other thing that reminded me that one of the things that we were, before COVID hit, we were trying to figure out how we could get more members. This was up in the northern one. And we quickly discovered that we had not done a very good job of contacting the various historical societies around Door County. And so we were going to make an effort to contact them, thinking that they get questions all the time on genealogy for Door County. And so that might be a source of more people too.
Well, okay. Thanks for your input on this.
See you next, what is it, the 6th or 7th?
Yeah, I corrected the time on the calendar. It was 11 o'clock again, but it should say.
January 6th.
Okay.
All right.
Thanks for coming.
Okay.
Have a good holiday.
Thanks for all the tips.
Merry Christmas, everybody.
Yep, have a good one.
Bye.